Welcome to another episode of the Neoliberal Round podcast. Guys, you cannot afford to miss a minute of this episode where I interviewed Shelly-Ann Weeks, Executive Director of the HerFlow Foundation in Jamaica and recent recipient of the Governor General's Award. The Governor General is Jamaica's appointed head of state and representative of the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth II, who is the actual head of state in Jamaica. Now, the interview show was dynamic, informative, inspiring, animated, and have you drawn into the story of her life, work, and the impact she is making. Miss Weeks had me on the edge of my seat and was dropping knowledge. It was an erudite analysis, albeit for just over 1 hour. This interview was very important to the solutions as we look at or explore solutions towards ending poverty and the United Nations 2030 SDG goal of building the human capital, especially among vulnerable peoples and places in the world, as a way of eliminating poverty or extreme poverty and improving equity in societies in the world. HerFlow exists to empower women and girls about reproductive health through education and mentorship. Their flagship project is to end period poverty, which is the inability to afford menstrual products when needed in Jamaica. They focus most of their work in schools, ensuring that girls don't miss classes because of period poverty. So far, they have donated nearly 5 million period products. Now, did you know that 44% of girls in Jamaica are affected by period poverty? And of this figure, 24% drop out due to period poverty. Period poverty isn't just a female issue, but should also be a man's issue. New Zealand and Netherlands have made ending period poverty a priority by providing resources to girls free of cost. But what about countries like Jamaica? What has been the policy and national drive to deal with the challenge that period poverty poses, such as productivity, worker productivity, dropouts, school dropouts, gender inequality, and the stigma around women's health and the health-related issues that may stem from doing nothing? You will be surprised to know that many of the schools in Jamaica and poorer countries are church-sponsored, and as such, their theology and ideology prevent effective response to the issue and challenges surrounding sexual and reproductive health and the diluted and non-existent national policy in these countries on ending period poverty and women's and or reproductive and sexual health, which also affects the building of the human capital. We discuss these, including her secret to losing over 100 pounds, resolving major health-related issues, and her fearlessness in the daunting task with little help, and a culture that discriminates against women's health, and the religious that assumes the negative side of femininity and masculinity. It was deep, and HerFlow's story is worth listening, reading, and or watching. The interview is available right at the end of my introduction here, and it will be available on video on all podcast feeds and channels. We will have the full transcript later this week in the Neoliberal Journals and the Neoliberal Post and commentaries on the Neoliberal Corporation's website at theneoliberal.com and ronaldocmckenzie.com. The Neoliberal Corporation is serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges, and we are about making popular what was the monopoly, which is the aim of communication. I invite you to subscribe to the show for free while it is available at no cost at anchor.fm/theneoliberal/support. And just so you know, we are doing we're actually doing a poll, and we're doing a poll which will be available on Twitter and Facebook. We're doing a poll that's available on Twitter and Facebook. And if you go on my Twitter, which is Ronaldo McKenzie, or you could go on my Facebook, which is Ronaldo.McKenzie, you will see a poll that's running that asks the question, that asks the question, how important is ending period poverty to the issue of eliminating poverty and improving distributional equity? How is that important, and also to the United Nations 2030 SDG goal in terms of how is that important to that issue? And some of you may not know much about that. And of course, we also ask a discussion question. If you are listening to this particular podcast, I believe it's only available on, and I apologize about that, but it's only available on Spotify, on the Spotify platform. If you're listening on Spotify and go to community, then you will see an active discussion that asks the question, why is period poverty not just a woman's concern, but should also be a man's issue? Men should also be involved. Why is that so? And we are asking that question. And she made a powerful statement. She said, when you empower a woman, you empower a community. When you empower a woman, you empower a community. And that was quite powerful. And she ends the show. She ends by saying, I asked her about fearlessness. She said, if she has any fear. She said, no, I don't have any fears, because I get to see the difference that I am making, and that is the magic for me. Powerful interview. Powerful and dynamic woman. And please, I invite you to donate to the foundation and what they're doing. We'll be right back after these messages.
Period, and I struggled with a lot of cramps and pain, and it's a very heavy period, sometimes 11 days long. And when I was diagnosed with fibroids when I was about 33, 34, I tried as an experiment to change the way I eat, because my doctor was saying to me that I have to do this major surgery, and I was dreading trying to do this surgery. I've done major surgeries in my life. I was dreading the whole process. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try this thing as an experiment. And I changed my relationship with food. It's the best decision I've ever made. I'm no longer having painful periods. My periods are 2 days long now. I don't have any pain or discomfort at all. And I started HerFlow because I wanted to shout it from the rooftops. I wanted women to know we don't have to be living in pain. Pain is a part of our life story from we are girls until we become older women. We are living with pain, and you hear me say things like women are bred to feel pain, and I just find those things insulting, because what happens is you end up having to deal with pain so much that you think that it's supposed to be a part of being woman. And so, I really, really try hard in my work to educate women and girls that they do not have to live in pain, that your body can be a place of peace and pleasure and great joy. And, it is my life's work to educate educate us, especially Black women, educate us about the wonders of our bodies and what we can do with it and how it can help us to live full, meaningful lives.
Yes,
so,
yes.
We don't have enough time for me to tell you what makes me tick.
Yes. But I'm just so you know, when the recording started just towards the end. So I apologize. We missed the part where you are from. Jeffreytown, St. Mary?
Jeffreytown, St. Mary. I grew up in Jeffreytown, St. Mary. I don't know if GPS has it or nothing. It's a little tiny town. And in Jamaica, when they have PA in the address, it's real country. So it's Jeffreytown,
yes.
PA, St. Mary. Yes. So, it's a post office, it's postal agency. So, it's a real country town. And I was just saying that I grew up with my great-grandmother. And we had to get up in the morning and catch water before we go to school. We had to feed the chicken and tie out the boats and make sure the animals are taken care of. We go outside to play. We didn't have a bunch of screens to be watching.
Yes.
We had to get creative and make our toys. The boys used to make trucks with juice box. They take juice box and bottle stoppers.
Yes, yes.
Trucks. And
I remember that.
We used to use rope and tie swings on the trees. And, it was a very, very outdoor, you bruise up your foot. I mean, you go through a week.
Right, indeed, yes.
Not playing hard enough. So, it was a very fun childhood. And
you said that you had a very fun childhood, but you talk about growing up in a very small bucolic area in Jamaica, Jeffreytown. You talk about goats. And tell me, and I said to, what did you guys do? You said it was fun, but we talk about. I said earlier at the show before we started the recording that in Jamaica has about 14,000 people live in poverty. 14,000 people live in poverty in Jamaica, and that's in 2018, and it has grown. And since COVID, we said there are more people in abject poverty and so on and so forth. And tourism, Jamaica depends heavily on tourism, and about 50,000 people were laid off, and Jamaicans spend more than 50% of their income trying to purchase food. But the question is, did you talk about your experience? Did you feel as if you were poor?
Well, I'm not quite sure. When you say poverty, yes. I think there's a specific number around the poverty.
I know they were saying $2.50 per day.
Say it again?
I know in the United, I think UN gold was still at one time it was $2.50 per day, earning $2.50 per day.
$2.50 US a day? All right, well, I don't know what the adults around me earned at the time, but what I will say to you is that we always had food to eat. Everybody went to school. We always had other things that we needed to go to school.
Yes.
We had everything that we needed. We didn't have we weren't taking trips overseas a lot. We weren't doing that. But if we were sick, we were able to go to the doctor. Yes. I'm not quite sure what ruler it is that you're using to measure those. That number sounds really low to me. That 40,000 sounds really low to me.
Right. That was in 2018. No,
I know. And the reason why I'm saying it sounds very low to me is because I started HerFlow in 2016, and I was just doing research around period poverty.
Yes,
and my numbers around period poverty is higher than that.
It is high.
It only affects women and girls.
Right.
So that number sounds.
And I think
really
we're talking about extreme poverty.
And that's why I'm asking, what's the rule that we're using to measure?
Yes. Extreme poverty.
For extreme poverty means what? Means that the person is unable to eat one meal a day or something like that. What?
Yeah, extreme poverty is people who are persons who are experiencing hunger, so to speak. Persons who are even below what we understand in the poverty line. So it's the poverty line, but they're the abject poverty line. So there are people that are saying in 2018, but now poverty is at 21% in Jamaica. It's 21% now in about 2021. So it's more than that. That's affected by poverty. But in terms of, they said that people that were living in abject poverty, and that figure might not be right, but that's the figure that but I know that poverty is a major and a sore issue, but in terms of abject poverty, we're talking about further social decays and people who are dropped even further below the poverty line.
All right, well, I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't have the particular statistics with me just now, and I like to speak on things that I know about. But what I will
probably will get, as we continue, I'll probably check the figures that I gave you, because the figures may not be correct figures that I have provided. But in terms of abject poverty, we understand that's what it was. But in terms of your drive, your drive to start HerFlow Foundation and your experience living how did that connect? Because I know one thing you said, the issue of pain and so on and so forth, but you said that you were alluding to something else. What are some of the other stuff that connected with
like I said, I really am very interested in the education around reproductive health. Comprehensive sexual and reproductive health education must be in schools. That's not the case in Jamaica right now, because a lot of the schools in Jamaica are founded by churches, and the more religious the school is, the less they think sexual and reproductive health education is important, because they believe that if we talk about sex to children, they'll just want to have more sex, and that whole premise don't make any sense, but it's what it is. But what we end up with is that we have girls who grow up to be women who do not understand their bodies and who end up suffering in silence when they have certain illnesses because they do not have the language or the understanding to speak to their medical professional to get the help that they need. And that's why I talk about pain, because if we accept pain as normal, then we will ignore the purpose that it serves, which is to warn us that there is something in our bodies that we must take a look at, that we must examine, that we must figure out. And so that's the reason why you're seeing so much conversation around reproductive health issues like fibroids and endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndromes and all of that. It's not that it is more popular now. It's just that we have a generation of women who lived with the pain. They could have had endometriosis and they just didn't know, because them just figure say, well, because I'm a woman, feeling pain is normal, being a woman, and they suffer through years and years of endometriosis, not knowing that it's something that can actually be treated and that their quality of life can be improved. So that is why the education is so important to me. So when I started HerFlow, I visited 3 high schools in the first year. And the first school I went to was Holy Trinity High. And I met a young lady who said to me, I did a period workshop and, I was talking to the students individually. And she said to me, I can use one pad for 5 days. And after I lift my jaw off the floor, I asked her how she did that.
Yes.
One pad for 5 days.
Okay.
She said, well, usually she don't have any money to buy pads. So what she would do is she would go to the guidance counselor and ask her for products, and guidance counselor would give her one single pad, and she knows she has to make it last as long as she possibly can. So what she would do is she would put tissue on top of the pad, and she'll change the tissue.
Oh, wow.
So she try to avoid soil in the pad as much as she can. And even if it is soil, she'll just put the tissue on top of it and just keep on changing the tissue. Okay. That is how I started paying attention when I go to the schools and ask them, what's happening with what do we do when the girls don't have any menstrual products? And when I was examining even closer, I realized that through the PASS program, we have approximately 80-something thousand pubescent girls on the PASS program that only gives them food. The PASS program does not supply them with menstrual products. So I thought to myself, if they don't have the money to buy lunch, then they don't have the money if they have their periods to buy menstrual products. When I started to discuss this with the guidance counselors and the school nurses, they confirmed my suspicion and said that what they do is sometimes they will have their own personal stash and they will give them out of their own personal stash, but it's never enough. So that is how the period poverty project side of HerFlow started. But HerFlow is not just about period poverty.
Okay.
HerFlow's mandate is to empower Jamaicans about reproductive health through education and mentorship. Ending period poverty is a project, and I would like to end period poverty so I can get to the education of it all, because that is still our most important issue that I think we must have.
Thank you so much. And that's very important. And by the way, it's the Borgian project actually did a research, and I think they were saying that people in 2018 in extreme poverty, but as I said, but I agree with you that the figures seem off. Our studies suggest something higher, but as of 2021, we know that poverty has quadrupled in many of our countries, especially I think it's at 22% and climbing, and GDP has fallen, I think, down to 9% or even lower than the prediction was that, but it's probably even going to be lower. But those are some of the issues. But you are here. Not only are you looking at your ending period poverty by provide and tell me a little bit of the work in terms of period poverty, and then I want to talk to you about also the education piece, because education is very important, because it talks about building human capital.
Well, the education part of it goes with supplying the products. So we don't just supply products to schools and say, okay, well, here you go, take product. We actually conduct workshops and we teach kids how to use the products. We include the boys in the conversation. That's a massive, important part of it for me personally, because I grew up in a house where men were not supposed to experience my period. I remember that statement because that statement was said to me by my grandmother. You must hide your period so well that the men in the house must never experience your period. And the experience your period part means if the unopened pack of pads is on the counter in the bathroom, that is a no-no, because they're not supposed to see any evidence of it. And my whole thing is, why do we have to hide our period? The jig is up, the stick is out. If you're of a certain age, you have a period. That's just what it is. So this idea of hiding it, and we're still coming from the religious standpoint where periods are unclean and periods are to be kept private, and all of those sort of cultural insight where periods are concerned are some of the things that we tackle with a lot of the education programs that we have at HerFlow, because we want to normalize conversations about periods. I'm telling fathers to go in the store and go and stand up in the aisle and read about different menstrual products. I'm telling single men to have menstrual products in them glove compartments in their car. Can you imagine what kind of pickup you'll get from a woman that you're trying to date? In your car one day, and you're giving her a ride someplace, and her period starts, and you already have the products in your car. Hello,
yes.
The thing, simple things. Like we have to stop acting as if period is this dirty little secret that must be kept by the people experiencing it. And so the education part of it is absolutely integral. What we do as it relates to providing products is that we speak to the teachers and the guidance counselors, try to get a grip on how many students are affected by period poverty, which based on our research that we have done on the ground in the schools, about 44% of the girls are affected by period poverty. 24% of them don't go to school when they have their period, so they're just absent. The guidance counselor can actually look at the register and give us that information. And about 20% of them, what they do is they find alternate ways to manage their period. So they'll get some old shirt or some old towel and they'll make their own native product. Some of them will use old newspaper. Some of them just try to steal the tissue out of the bathroom. So what they do now is some of the schools don't even leave the tissue in the bathroom anymore, because the girls will go in there and steal it, because that's what they need for their menstruation. So that's why we have to make sure that menstrual products are available in all of the schools for free, so that all the students can benefit from it. So that has been the biggest action that we've done. Since HerFlow's inception, we've donated just over 4 million menstrual products to public schools in Jamaica. So far, we're going to hit 5 million this year. And this year we have gone into clinics for the first time. So we have menstrual products for free in 15 clinics right across the island, one in each parish here right now. And we did that because in COVID, the need increased in COVID. And we had a lot of grown women calling, asking for help. And so instead of me trying to ship products to them, which is what I used to do, I just said, go to the clinic in your parish, and I'll tell them what clinic to go to, and they can walk in, no questions asked, and get their free menstrual products.
Oh, wow. Let me tell you, this is deep. I'm just so you know, I mean, by the way, one of your assistants sent me an email about the program, and I'm going to be promoting the program as well. I think this is very important. I've learned a lot so far, but I think you said I got an email about 3 million, and I've been telling people it's 3, but you've actually...
that number needs to be updated, but it's that.
Yes.
It's past, that was 3 million last year. It passed the number there last year.
And I like, you do anthropological work, which is ethnographic, and I tell people who work on the ground, people who do field work, they have a gist of what's going on. You say here, which is quite, and I'm going to repeat what you just said earlier. You said that there are 44% of the girls are affected by period poverty, and 24% don't. Usually 24% do not go to 24% don't go to school.
They don't actually go to school.
They don't go to school. And then you talk about the issue of religion. You talk about the issue of gender. You talk about the issue of stigma and how that plays a role. And you talk about, and so the work is an uphill task here. You're trying to help educate while at the same time also provide the mechanisms and the tools and the aid. But you're also fighting against a culture. You're talking about changing the way people think about, in terms of men and religion, about girls and their cycles and so on. How is it that? What kind of challenge are you having, or are you experiencing any pushback? And then as you do this work, because you're also helping people to think differently about certain practices and beliefs.
Well, I'm 7 years in now, so the people who have been pushing back stop pushing because they realize that it's not working. But initially, I got a lot of pushback from religious groups because they were completely against boys being a part of the classroom, because they thought that by exposing boys to periods, you're feminizing them, which just, I don't know, it never made any sense to me then, and it doesn't make any sense to me now. Because boys live in houses with women. They are in classrooms with women. They experience women everywhere they go. They're around period every day. So the idea that this thing is hidden from them, it never made sense. And I remember I had this entire conversation with a mother who was so upset that I gave her son a kit, because when we go to the schools to do the menstrual workshop, we give them with each of the girls a period kit, and in the kit it has all the products and stuff that they need. And we don't automatically give the boys. We'll give it to the boys if they'll ask for it, because sometimes they'll come and they say, Miss, can I get one from my mother or one from my sister or so? And if they ask for it, we give it to them. This particular young man was so excited about the course. He went home and he asked his mother for her to lend him one of her panties so he can show her how to put the pad on the panty. And she lost her mind, called the school, wanted to speak to the principal. She even sent her son off school to that. Who give her son panty and come on with pad? And what kind of nonsense is that? And she tell me some words. And after she done cuss me out, because the principal called me and I said, I really go and ask him to talk to this parent because I don't know what else to tell her. And she cussed me off and she tell me how me trying to turn her son homosexual. And she tell me all the things. And after she done cuss me off, because I sit down nice and calm when people cussing because I can't fight. After she done cuss me off, I said to her, who are you with the son? She said, it's him alone me have. And I don't want to turn him into no, the Jamaican colloquial word. I said to her, what if something happened to you one day and he needs the help? Doesn't it make sense that he knows what to do? In that moment, she stopped. And then it clicked to her that I can actually benefit from this. And I pray a conversation
Yes.
I've never gone to a school and a boy said, "Miss, I don't want to learn about this."
Yes, that's
they
good.
have questions. They want to touch the products. They say, "Miss, this I feel like Pampers. This why you're walking on this, Miss." So, Miss, can urinate on it? Miss, can PP&I? They have a million questions. So, their parents who have the issue, they are the ones who want to keep them in the dark ages. They are the ones who are fighting them from trying to learn about the people who they are sharing the world with. Every day. So in terms of pushback, that's where it comes from.
And and I think but here you are now. You said that not so much now. What?
Not so much now.
And so how are people changing now? What are you seeing in terms? And I know you said you still have issues with, and we're going to talk about in terms of support, in terms of government support at the national level, and where you get your support. But as I get into that, what are some of the changes and what did you have to do or to bring about that kind of change?
Well, I will take full responsibility for a lot of the change that has happened because I've forced people to have conversations. One of the things that I did, I targeted men with daughters. They were nice, low hanging fruit because they can avoid this conversation if it's their spouse. But what ends up happening is that you find a lot of fathers are having more active roles in their daughters' lives. And because they're having more active roles in their daughters' lives, they're actually spending time with them. And if they're spending time with them, they might be with her on that day when her period starts. And it's just him and her. No, they have to face it.
Yes.
So when I say I'm having a period workshop, they say, okay, me, I need to learn about this thing because, oh gosh. Plus, I wrote a book about menstruation. It's our introduction to menstruation for little black girls. It's called It's My Body, period. And that book, a lot of fathers bought that book and they read it themselves and they gave it to their daughters. And so I really made an effort to engage men. And I've had many events and we include men on the panel. And I have period parties with only fathers, and we invite fathers to come and talk about periods. When we have orientation in high school and fathers are there, we get them up, we get them involved, and that really, really helps to break down the stigma because when the women see that the men are open, then that gives them the license to feel more comfortable talking to them about it as well. Because one of the things that we say to even you have women who are married to men, and these women have horrible, painful periods all this time, and their husband never know because they always keep it to themselves because they don't want to be a mother to him. And I'm like, really? And if that man have a little headache, you have to stop where you are looking up to go nurse him.
Yes.
And he has no problem sharing his pain with you, and you are keeping your pain to yourself. That don't make any sense. So we're opening up the conversation. And another thing that helps to get more people talking about period is that they see what is going on internationally around period poverty. Countries like Scotland and New Zealand, they have made menstrual products free for all of their citizens. And it is in the news, and they see what is happening on social media, and they see what is happening, and they hear the words period poverty, and people are getting in the hip to it now and getting in the know. So a lot more people are joining the conversation, so it's not so taboo anymore.
Right, and you know what? And I'm going to touch on two things. This is very important. And why and you talk about Scotland and New Zealand. Why is period poverty or dealing with the issue of period poverty? I know you made reference to it, but why is it an important issue to tackle in terms of dealing with the whole issue of poverty? Why is that so important in terms of dealing with the whole issue of poverty?
Well, first of all, the people who are affected by poverty most is women. Women and girls are mostly affected, there's a higher number of women and girls affected by poverty than boys and men. The next thing is... thank you. I'm sorry, this is interesting. This thing is sweet. No, what you just said was, you said, we talk about it, when you look at, I study poverty, and it never occurred to me. You talk about period poverty, but you also talk about poverty by gender, and looking at
the number poverty as against an income inequality between women and men, and you look at the educational level, and then you go deeper. That's where you go deeper and see how issues of menstruation or the period can affect education and dropout, and how that ultimately impact the wider society in terms of gender figures. And wow, this is great. And I broke you. I apologize, but you were going to say something else.
Right. So I was just saying that more women are affected by poverty.
Yes.
So let's start here.
Indeed.
The next thing is that period poverty is not a personal thing that a woman who can't deal with her business needs to sort out, because it's an indication that she's disorganized.
Right.
What period poverty represents is a woman's inability to take care of her family. When a woman pops down, the family pops down, which means the community pops down. Let us be clear. When you empower a woman, you empower a community. So if that woman cannot go to work because she has her period, she can't leave the house because she don't have any menstrual product, she cannot get to go to work. If she's at work and her period starts, her productivity falls. Because she can't manage her period, because she does not have the products to manage her period. Which is one of the reasons why we're starting a campaign to get corporate Jamaica to provide menstrual products in their bathroom, so all of their staff members can have the tools that they need to do their work at work. Right?
So now you're taking it beyond school. You now want to go into the and because you're dealing with this is a very core issue, because when we talk to businesses are always thinking about generating revenue and productivity, and as someone who worked in corporate America, what is important? Productivity. And you're saying that the issue of this period poverty also can affect productivity. So your work here is very important, not only at the education or the school level, but also at the professional level.
Yes, because now her productivity is affected. Is she producing? What is she doing in terms of her work? What's the quality of her work when she's sitting at that desk and she's bleeding through her skirt onto your nice pouch that you have to pay somebody to see? So now that's another expense, because she does not have access to the basic need, which is menstrual products. Now, when you look at overall productivity, and you look at the fact that something as simple as menstrual products can derail, we can have all of the goals that we want to have in the world. So we want to have a place where gender equality is there, and climate change is dealt with, and we want to ensure that, opportunities in technology are there for young people. And all of these beautiful things, love them so nicely. If you have women in the society who can't even leave their yard, all of those plans, all of those goals will not be reached.
Yes,
and some of the things that these women do to manage their period put them in a situation where they harm themselves. And so now the health system has to take care of the infections that they have, which is another expense. So if you look at it, the cheapest solution is to provide the products so that they can get to function with dignity in this society. New Zealand isn't more generous than everybody in the world. They did the math. They saw that if they were to provide this basic need, they can make sure that their productivity increases, the overall quality of life of their citizens increases, and they know that whenever they empower a woman, they empower a community. But they empower the whole of the woman them and just watch New Zealand fly.
Oh, and of course you're also investing in the human capital, or you're facilitating the human capital. And that is the United Nations 2030 goal as well. But what is Jamaica, in terms of the national policy on this mentoring and teaching and educating people about women's health and in this particular area, and about ending period poverty? What has been the national policy in Jamaica, and what has been the support? And since you started, what changes have you seen in Jamaica on the ground in terms of the policy and the attitude?
There's no national policy when it comes to women in Jamaica. critical publicly of the government, the fact that in all of the great plans that we're making, all of the goals that we have set for ourselves, we have not included women, and we do not have anything on the books to deal with issues that affect women. Now, female reproductive health issues affect over 80% of Jamaican women. That is not me talking, that is the doctors who treat women, the gynecologists talking. And over 80% of Jamaican women are affected by reproductive health issues.
Yes.
I've had conversations with gynecologists, and they're saying to me that they are doing 3 to 5 hysterectomies a week on Jamaican women. Now, hysterectomies is not a vitamin pill. When the doctor says you have to do a hysterectomy, it means that you have reached a state where that is your best outcome. That will give you your best outcome. What is causing so many of us to need hysterectomies right now? There's no study around anything that affects reproductive health in Jamaica. So if we talk about policy, we have not even looked at what is causing so many women to be having all of these issues. Now we're talking, in terms of health, we're talking about non-communicable diseases, which I think is a very important conversation. But one of the problems that we don't talk about when we talk about non-communicable diseases is how does reproductive health issues fit into that? If you look at a lot of the women who have non-communicable diseases, women who have heart disease and hypertension and all that, they also have a reproductive health issue. You know what doesn't get any benefit? The reproductive health issue. We started the National Health Fund, for example. The National Health Fund was created to provide relief for people, low-income people, to have access to treatment at a reduced cost, so that they can get to be better and live more better quality lives.
Yes.
What are some of the diseases that if you have, you can benefit if you go to National Health Fund? All the non-communicable diseases, hypertension, the heart disease, diabetes, all important, all great. Not one of the female reproductive health issues on the National Health Fund. Not one.
Yes.
Not thyroid, not endometriosis, not polycystic ovarian syndrome, not heavy period. Something that half the population of Jamaica experiences. 80% of that number experiences it. Not one is included on it. All of the things that I talk about, the people who die most from heart disease, men. Diabetes, men. Hypertension, men.
That is true. Yes, that's what the thing.
That's why my answer is there is no policy that benefits women.
Wow.
That is my answer to that question.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now, to treat all of these diseases, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome, all that is very, very expensive.
Yes,
so
it is.
If it's even just to get the discount that you can get when you have the National Health Fund card, it will benefit hundreds and thousands of Jamaicans.
Yes,
it does not exist.
Okay. Wow.
Right?
And so
I have started this advocacy since 2016, and I cannot get a female politician to talk about it.
Yes. And why do you think, and is it because Jamaica, the kind of culture, a masculine, male-dominated society?
That's why I speak so much about the culture. The culture is still very, very pervasive and very, very important in this conversation, because people still think that it is taboo. People still think that periods are to be kept privately in underwear and not in regular open spaces. And that's the reason why I do the campaigns that I do, talking about period shame. I'm trying to get periods in the face of people. I remember I was having a period flash mob in Halfway Tree, and this man said to me, everywhere you see me, I talk about period inside of me and period now. I said, turn it around you. I said, you're in the presence of period right now. And half of the women here are bleed.
Yes.
I think I spoiled. I think I traumatized the man. Because at one point, as I said, like several minutes later, I see him like my phone, like him a try phone. And I try to figure out who's on the period and who's not on the period.
Yes, right. And so, and it's still always, not only is it a taboo to talk about these things in open, but there's also a level of, I'm trying to find the word, secrecy, so to speak.
Yes, it's a dirty little secret that you must keep. It is not okay. It is, like, nobody wants to hear about the period. I give you the perfect example. I remember I met this gentleman who was telling me he was asking me if I don't know, he's trying to ask if I know somebody who needs a job because he has 2 openings at him in workplace, the entrepreneur, and he have 2 openings or whatever. And he started to tell me about this staff member that he had. And he said he's the best worker I've ever had. She's very reliable, she's not thief, she's early, you can depend on her, you can call her anytime. And he says really good thing about this woman. So I said, so why you let her go then open me the bar? She said every month she had a period problem there. I said, what do you mean? Every month it's like she wants to work from home because she said a period like your hard time. And you can't bother with that. I said, so hold on. You just described to me what you said is the best worker you ever had. And the reason why I don't work with you anymore is because of our period?
Yes. Wow. That is so we're talking about issues of yes. You know it, but people discriminating on all, not just racial, but on the issue of but not just being a woman, but because of that particular issue. So this your work is very vital.
He described her as the best worker he has ever had. So I said to him, what if she had asthma? No, I want to understand that because it's so not asthma. I said, oh, so your issue is you cannot empathize with her because all things being equal. But the issue that she had was she have, because some people with asthma issues, because I have a friend where if she is in her office and somebody walks in with a strong enough perfume, it affects her asthma. So then what if it was asthma issues instead of period issues? Then he wouldn't have had a problem because him son have asthma too, so him understand.
Oh, so therefore they can't empathize because that's not something that they have to deal with. But this is quite revealing. This is quite interesting. It's quite powerful. So, and by the way, you said that you wrote a book, and I just want to let everybody know that you wrote a book, and what's the name of the book, and where, and is it available?
I've written 2 books. So actually, I've written quite a few books. I've published 2 so far. It's My Body, period. It's an introduction to menstruation for little black girls. And that book, it's all on my website. If you go on my website, you'll be able to see it. EmbraceHerFlow.com. And my first book is I Changed My Diet and Changed My Life. In that book, I spoke about my whole journey to health from when I was sick and in pain to me now.
And you said you changed your diet and changed your health.
My relationship with food completely, yes. So the title of the book is I Changed My Diet and Changed My Life.
Tell me one thing. What about your life that you changed? How did dieting change your life? What is it that you did?
Dieting did not change my life. I changed my relationship with food. Dieting is a temporary situation. I don't see food the same way I used to see food anymore.
Yes.
I'm not driven by what tastes good anymore. I'm driven by what's good for me. So if I don't see any nutrition in it, I'm not eating it. Certain things I just cut out of my diet completely. I'm very anti-processed food. I don't like processed food at all.
Yes.
And then no dairy. Nothing. If it comes from a cow, I'm not interested. Milk for baby cows.
Yes.
And no dairy at all. I don't eat meat either. I don't eat rice, sour, sugar, processed food, dairy, or meat.
Wait. Hold up. What? That's everything.
No, it's not. I do the same thing potato, or yam, or plant, or green banana, or celery, or pumpkin, or carrot, or broccoli, and I can go on.
Okay.
I eat.
I don't eat a lot, but you even pushed the bar. I don't eat red meat. I'm 42 years old. I'm gonna be 43 this month. I don't eat red meat, but but that is good. So because people want to also learn from you and learn from some of the things that you're doing, and so you're saying that.
Oh, in my book, I even put recipes in there. There are recipes in the back of the book.
And we are going to, and definitely we're going to have all of that. We're going to be broadcasting. But one of the things is, so your life changed because you changed your relationship with food, and I love the way your use of language and the use of words is quite powerful. And so that relationship that you changed, what about your life? What did it do for your life that made it different?
Oh, I can tell you. I used to have back pain. I was at the chiropractor once a week, about 5 times for the month. I couldn't go more often than that because it got very expensive. And I was in pain all the time. I had migraine headaches. I had sinus issues. I had asthma. I had eczema. I had a lot of acne. Like my skin was doing some crazy stuff. I was tired all the time. I didn't have a lot of energy. And I'm a very bubbly person. This is my default setting most of the time. So I had to make more of an effort. I was very anemic. I struggled with anemia. I actually blocked out a few times because my blood count got so low. And
there are a lot of people that have anemia issues, by the way.
Yes, ma'am. And by the way, Black women have anemia issues. We need to get some iron on our plate. Iron deficiency is a thing. So since I changed my relationship with food, I no longer use my asthma pump. The last time I used my asthma pump was 2016. I don't even get the prescription anymore. The doctor used to give me a 6-month prescription, so I'll just go and refill it every month. I've not done that since 2016. I stopped taking painkillers. I don't have painful periods anymore. My periods went from 11-day, very heavy, very painful, to completely pain-free. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. I don't have painful periods anymore. My periods are 2 days long. It starts on a Friday. By Sunday, it's done. I do not have heavy clotting periods anymore. I do not have asthma issues anymore. My sinuses cleared up. My skin started to do some nice things. My migraines went away. I have so much more energy. I've never felt this good. I'm no longer anemic. I'm in the best health of my life. Oh, and I lost almost 100 pounds.
Wow. And by the way, you're looking, I saw the picture. Right now you're looking great, and I saw the image, the picture when you received the Governor General's Award, and you look really good, and you have come so far, and you have so much to offer. By the way, just so you know, I learned recently by looking at our metrics and our analytics that a lot of men listen to this show, and here we are talking about issues, and I almost made the mistake of saying issue that women have to, but it's not just a woman issue, but it's an issue for women and men. Yes.
Correct. And that's why I say we have to include men in the conversation. This is not a personal problem anymore. This problem affects all of us. We have to include men in the conversation. And gentlemen, get involved. Ask questions. Go to the gynecologist with her. See what she has to go through. Her body is not for you to enjoy. It's a lot of things she has to do to maintain it. Participate. Sometimes all she needs from you is a foot rub or a shoulder rub or whatever kind of rub she like rub. Don't bother with this thing here where you sit on the sidelines and she was over there suffering by herself, because you know that if it's a card you have for your little toe, she has to then put on the card and the little toe.
Yes. Oh wow. This is really good. And by the way, I hope you come back on the show. Because we're gonna have you when talking about different issues, because you have said a lot, and by the way, we're gonna be writing the transcript of this interview. Probably when I'm done, it's gonna be probably 10 pages. But this is profound, and we actually only have 4 minutes left, and I want to talk to you about how is it that you got this? How is it that you were landed or the Governor General award, and what happened around all of that?
All right. Well, my work is pretty public. I made a decision when I just started to be very, very transparent with the work that we do. So if you were to Google HerFlow Foundation or you Google period poverty in Jamaica, you will see that my work is very well documented, and that was by design. And people nominated me. The Governor General has this award each year, and they ask people to nominate persons that are doing amazing work in their community, people who are really, really bright. So there are a lot of persons who like, seriously, I heard this one guy get mostly 20 subjects, and he's going to Harvard, and he might put 10 degrees. Brilliant Jamaicans doing amazing work.
Yes.
So, it's a very, very great group. They said they got over 500 nominations and they chose 40 people, and I was just so honored to be a part of those 40 people, because we do really have some Jamaicans on the ground trying to make a difference.
Yes.
And I'm so happy to be a part of that group, because my work, like I said to you earlier, is really not about me. It's about the people that I serve, and I really try my best to make sure that we give them the best that we can give them, and we try to put them in a position so that they can function in dignity. And that's what it's about for me.
And what about the church? And I cannot end by, because the church, the Judeo-Christian church culture is very important in Jamaica. Has the church given you any support?
Church call me for support all the time. They don't give me none. Support. This one lady cuts me off because she wants to give products to our congregation. But you know what? Yes. Let me back up a little bit. I do have friends who are Christians, and they individually do their own thing. But as it relates to an actual church body, a church,
supporting and okay.
No, not at all. And I really I know you probably have a lot of persons in the diaspora who listen to your show. I want to tell them big up, because we get a lot of support from the Jamaicans who don't in Jamaica. Right now, I'm talking to this young lady named Nikki. Nikki and our family members and our friends got together, and they're packing 2 barrels of pad to send to Jamaica. And that is all I support. People send barrels, people send suitcase, people send bags. I meet people at the airport with the bag in their hand. It look like they just stop at the Walmart and pick up some pads, and they carry the actual bag, come give me. So a lot of the work we've been able to do is through the support of people who are Jamaicans, who are living abroad, who just wants to help. And I would like to say thank you to all of them. Some of them send one little $20, $50 through the PayPal. Every mickle make a muckle, it all helps, because these products have to be stored and transported. It's a lot of moving parts, so all the support we can get really helps.
And then do you have like a staff of people that work with, and in terms of wow, but you are able to serve almost 5 million people. And and just so you know, if persons want to support, send you any financially or any other way, what's some of the information? Because we want to ensure that we support you.
Go to the website embraceherflow.com. You can make a donation there. The PayPal account number information is there. Just click and it sends you directly. You can make a donation there. If you want to send some products to me, we can talk about that as well. All the information is there. And like I said, every little bit counts. So whatever it is that you want to do, we can work with you. A young lady got in touch with me, said she's turning 35 and she wants to do something for her birthday. She wants to put together some packages for some girls. And we try to work. I try to work as much as I can with anybody who wants to help, because like I said, this is not a me thing, this is a we thing. And the quicker we can solve this problem, the quicker I can get to the real business of the education, because that is where I think the real work needs to be done.
Wow. What are your fears? What are your fears as you look to the future? And yes.
Oh.
In fact, before you say that, what are your plans for HerFlow in terms of the next 5-10 years?
First of all, before 2022 ends, I'm ending period poverty in schools. I've worked out the math. I know what it's going to take. So before the end of 2020, I'm going to make sure that every single girl in every single public school in Jamaica has access to their menstrual products. That is something that I'm actively working on. If you want to participate in that, visit the website. Yes. In terms of the HerFlow's plans over the next 5 years, I want to get more products into clinics. I want to get, we have 300 clinics in the country. I'd like to get free products in as many of them as possible, so that the products will be available to the women and girls in Jamaica who need it. I would like to get to a point where we work and we can start the education drive in a more consistent basis. I do 4 school tours a year, and through that 4 school tour, we hit about 106 schools, do 4 school tours. I would like that to become more, so that we can get to have a consistent education program that goes into the schools on a more consistent basis. In the next 5 years, I would like to see comprehensive sexual and reproductive health education as a part of the mandatory curriculum in schools right up there with maths, English, and science, because it's definitely necessary for us to understand ourselves and our bodies so that we can function in dignity. And we cannot do it unless we tell the children the full truth.
Oh, wow. So you have a plan for the future, and this is really good. And so the next question, I had another question to ask, but I think it's slipped me. But what are your fears as you look to the future? Because you have these plans. And by the way, yes, before you answer, yes, I remember as you talk about education and so on, and so as to develop consistency. In other words, you are fighting. You want us you want Jamaicans as a people to move, to become more consistent, to be more systematic about this business, and not reactive.
That is the word I'll use. I just want us to understand what it is, because right now a lot of persons are functioning off, what somebody tells them or their own assumptions of, and a lot of it is misunderstandings and misinformation. I've actually seen situations where I see a father give his daughter one product a day, and they say one a day must last. And say, sir, she can't use one product a day.
Yes.
And I sit him down and explain to him why she needs to change at least every 4 hours because of bacteria and all of those kind of things. And so, when he never understand that, he just not trying to make it last. But after I speak to him, he adjusted. And that is why the education is so important, because everybody's operating under assumption. So if they have the right information, then they can make informed decisions.
Yes, that is true. And the reason why I said that, I know recently I saw the Prime Minister Andrew Holness was talking about was urging people, you need to start putting things in to get ready for the hurricane season. And I remember saying that it has to be something that we can't be reactive about it. It's something that's built into the system in such a way, it's in a cog's wheel kind of a way, built into the system. And you're trying to, and the way you're trying to do things like this in terms of dealing with, you don't want to be reactive. You want to deal with the psyche. You want to develop understanding by engaging people and so on. So this is Miss Shelly-Ann Weeks. I am impressed. I can't wait to read your work some more. I can't wait to access and to purchase your books. And I have a company, a big corporation, that part of it that we do is we also do we are a publisher as well. So we promote other people's work and we do research. But I want to delve into that. And the last question is, what are your fears as you think about the future and all these other things? What are your fears and your concerns?
You asked me what my fear about 4 times now, and I'm trying to come up with something. I don't want to say that I'm fearless. It's just that I'm not driven by fear at all. Fear has never been an obstacle for me, because the way I see fear is nothing changes if somebody says no. So I don't fear rejection at all. So if you tell me no, okay, I know what happens with no. I am exactly where I am at right now if you say no. If you say no, nothing is going to be different. But yes is when some stuff starts to move around. So I don't function from a space of fear. I know that when I started this work, I got rejected by a whole heap of people who right now are calling my phone. So you just wasn't ready 5 years ago. You're ready now. Okay, let's talk. So I don't function from a space of fear. I know that there are other things outside of my control, and I'm okay with that. I just try to work within the things that I can control and try to see how I can effect change step by step. I don't expect to do this thing in one foul swoop. That's never been the case. I value the long game. I know that I have to take it on one step at a time, and I'm prepared to do that. So that's where I function. That's the space I function in, and because I function in that space, fear is not a big part of that space for me at all, because I know what's possible. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I'm in control of. And for the stuff that I'm not in control of, I just work with it as much as I can. And if it's no, then we move on till we get a yes. We're not afraid of no.
Wow. And what it is, where does that come from? That vigor, vitality, that dynamism, that fearlessness. Where does that come from?
Well, I tell you, in the beginning, that the most influential person in the world is my great-grandmother. And I distinctly remember something she said to me when I came home from school. I was a little toddler girl coming from school because I went to school and they were teasing me that my forehead big. And I went home crying to her that I don't want to go back to school because them teasing me so my forehead big. And she lifted me up by my shoulders and bring me up eye level to her, and she shaked me and she said, never allow what other people say about you to affect the way you feel about yourself. And I never forgot that. And so I am not motivated by people's opinion of me or what it is that I'm doing. I know that what I do make a difference because I see who it affects. When I go to the school, that the little girl who tells me that she used one pad for 5 days and she got the pad that she needed, I made sure that she was supplied every month. And when her teachers are reporting back to me that her grades are improving and she has so much more confidence now and she's doing so much better now and she speaks up in class, and the fact that she's in university right now, that's all I need, because I know that I was a part of her journey and I helped her to get where she is right now. So for me, it's not about, I'm very honored, to get the award, the Governor General's award, but when I get a report from a teacher that tells me that somebody who had behavioral problems in class is not having that issue anymore because they have their products and they feel a lot more confident and they can function in dignity. That's all I need. When the teacher tells me that the boys are more respectful of the girls when they have their period, and they are more supportive of them because they sat in the class and they learned about period, it's because I get to see that what I do is making a difference, and that's where the magic is for me.
Oh wow, well that's powerful. I'm going to end it there. And by the way, you have moved me. Just so you know, you have moved me. I've been going through a lot as I try to run this organization, and I take on a lot of very powerful people. It has not been easy, but I was moved by you, and I feel chills as you talk. Trust me, and other people in the world will. You have inspired me, and I continue to. I will encourage you, and you encourage me, and we hope that you will continue. But probably 10, 20, 30 years down the line, we will continue to see here. We come and we talk and we bust some run down and thing.
I don't want to be talking about periods 10 years, period poverty 10 years from now, but
the Neoliberal Corporation is about serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges, or by exposing and bringing issues to what's going on in the world, or to bring light and to let people know how they can support other people's programs and so on. So thank you so much. And again, remind us how we can get in touch with you.
You can definitely check out my website, embraceherflow.com. If you want to find me on social media, online, just search HerFlow, HerFlow is one word. And listen, I tell everybody that ending period poverty is something that we can all contribute to. It's a team effort. So you don't even have to donate to HerFlow, but just help somebody who you know need help. So if somebody in your community, somebody in your church, somebody in your classroom, somebody at your office, whatever you can do in your space to help somebody live in dignity, please go ahead and just be kind. Just because you can. Don't worry about if they're grateful or not. You'll never get the level of gratitude that you want anyway, so don't do it for the gratitude. Just be kind because you can.
Thank you so much. That was the Executive Director of the HerFlow Foundation, a very powerful foundation that's run by a very dynamic and an amazing, fearless woman that is just doing her thing and impacting people's lives. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I wish you all the best. Yeah, man. And this show will be available on audio podcast. Probably it's gonna a couple of days because we're gonna have to write the story as well and publish it in our journals and so on and so forth. And it will be available also on audio, live video, but after we've edited it and so on and so forth. But thank you so much, and we will talk. I have your number, so I guess we can talk and so on. You can call me anytime. I hope I can text you anytime, and share, drop wisdom, and and so. But you have been great, and we hope to have you to speak at some of this in the future, because
that can be arranged.
Yes, you are powerful. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
And guys,
thank you so much.
Invest in her and support this dynamic work that is investing in people. Take care. And you'll get a chance to hear this before everybody else anyways. All right?
Awesome.
Yeah, man. You were great. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Thank you guys for listening to the interview that I had with Miss Shelly-Ann Weeks, Executive Director of the HerFlow Foundation, and the interview was done on Sunday. And just so you know, if you want to know more about poverty in Jamaica, the Caribbean, and the world, you can access my book, Neoliberalism, Globalization, Income Inequality, Poverty and Resistance, which is available in all platforms all over the world. And just so you know, upon its release, Neoliberalism, my book, was #1 on Amazon in deconstructivist history and critical and deconstructivist philosophy. And just so you know, I've also written an article and an academic essay, which is available at theneoliberal.com, feature as on the featured essay. If you go to the homepage, where I talk about poverty and redistributing income to the poor, comparing social assistance in Jamaica and the US. And just so you know, as it relates to poverty, we were talking earlier about extreme poverty. And just so you know, there is poverty, where there is a poverty line, those who earn less than $2.50 US per day, which was what the mark was. But then, of course, when we talk about extreme poverty, we're talking about abject poverty, people who even fall way below that. We're talking about people who lack access to clean water, people who have sanitation issues, homelessness, little to no income. And that's what we're talking about. And just so you know, as it relates to the 2018 figure that talks about extreme poverty, the Borgian Project claimed to have done a research and suggested in their data that there were 14,000 people in Jamaica living in extreme poverty. But of course, that is not true. But of course, there's also the issue of looking at poverty and how we determine poverty and how we understand poverty. And it's difficult to use a broad brush across countries to analyze poverty and to determine poverty. Because poverty in one country, such as a bucolic society, say for example in Jamaica or that of Guyana or Haiti and so on, is different from poverty in a post-industrial country. And of course, part of my research will also look at poverty and how you distinguish between poverty in different countries. But thank you so much again for listening to the show, and I hope you have a great day. Walk good.